In this video, I'll show you how to paint a Necron Warrior for the Szarekhan Dynasty. Nice, easy and quick. So the Szarekhan Dynasty are the new Necrons, the new dynasty that Games Workshop has released with Indomitus. So this is going to be really easy. We've primed the model with Leadbelcher spray, so if you think you're going to have 20, 30, 40 of these guys, prime it with Leadbelcher spray. You see I got on my Cobalt Keep handle, which I really love. So you've got the base, it's got a magnet in it, slots on really nice, and you can rotate it. So I'll pop a link to Cobalt Keep in the description. So let's first off have a look at getting that kind of brass colour. So what we're going to do is take some brass scorpion. Oops. We're just going to paint all the kind of parts. So all the kind of, I don't want to call them bits of armour, because I'm not sure they are bits of armour. But check the box art and all the things that look brass, get them painted with the brass scorpion. So the brass scorpion over the Leadbelcher prime should go on pretty easily. You shouldn't need more than one coat with this, but if you do, as always, just take your time. It's better to have two thin ones than one thick one that obscures all the detail. So get all that done, and then when you finish, we'll come back. And the next thing we'll do is start to shade it, and you'll start to see that this is a really easy scheme to do. So once that's done, you're going to have a nice brass colour, and you're going to have a nice silver colour as well. So what we're going to do is we're then going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to shade the entire model. So make sure obviously that your brass scorpion is dry, but we're going to shade all of the parts we've just painted, all of the skeleton of this Necron Warrior. So you don't need to see me do too much of it, just know that I'm putting it all on there, and I make sure it doesn't pool anywhere, so that it doesn't actually hide any detail. So just work your way around, get it all covered with Nuln Oil, and then when that's totally dry, we'll come back and we'll do the next step. Once that's all dry, we're going to highlight up the silver first. Now, I'm going to use Runefang Steel for this. You can use any silver really. You can even dry brush some Necron compound, and all I'm looking to do is just catch those kind of top edges where it's where the model's sharp. You can see I'm moving quite quick. I'm not being very careful with this at all. But you can just see there on the arm, it gives you just a little bit of a highlight where that light's going to catch. So work your way around the model. This is one of the things I kind of love about the models, which I guess I've not really noticed before, but now that I've kind of come to work on them, is that the various sort of condition that the skeletons are in. So you've got bits of armor missing, you've got chunks torn out, things like that, and it's really nice, really adds to the effect, and also means that when you're kind of doing these highlights, there's a little scarab there, which we'll make sure we capture that later. When you're doing these highlights, you can be really rough, because everything is rough on these models. There's nothing on them that's kind of smart and smooth. So work your way all the way around, put as little or as much silver highlight on as you want. Like I said, I'm using Runefang Steel. You can use whatever you want. You can use Stormhold Silver, Chrome. Chrome's probably a bit bright. But just get it on there, and you just get rough highlights on the silver metallics. So get that done, we'll come back and we'll have a look at the brass next. To highlight the brass, we're going to use Runelord Brass. Now I'm using the old layer version of Runelord Brass, because I know Games Workshop have brought out sort of new paints for the Necrons, but I'm not 100% convinced that you actually need them, because the existing paints they've got are fine. So all I did there was I just kind of picked up those raised edges with the Runelord Brass. Now, it's not the best covering paint in the world, but that's fine, because it actually helps just give you that nice kind of shine on those sharp areas. So you just keep a nice gradient through through the brass there, and you can see that that shine's really starting to come out. The lights are quite bright, so it's reflecting off them. So all you're going to do with this Runelord Brass now is just work your way around the rest of the model, just painting over where we've put that brass scorpion, leaving that Nuln Oil in all the recesses, and that'll give you a really nice light brass that the Szarekhan Dynasty have got. That's on all the kind of the box art. Like I said, I'm not convinced you need the new paints. I'm doing this with the old ones. The kind of the Ghostflare Glow or whatever the new bright paint is might be useful, but I'm just going to go around the model, get that all done, come back and we'll paint the gun next. So we've really got a nice moody looking Necron now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the weapon. So we're going to use Abaddon Black to base this, and we're just going to pop this over all the areas that are black. Now obviously some of these we're going to be putting the green glow in later on, so there's no huge requirement to be careful. But what I would say, when you kind of get to these areas, just take your time a bit so you don't necessarily paint over the gap or the orbs in there, because it'll be easier for the white paint we're going to put in there to go over there, over the silver rather than black. Now one thing you might notice with me doing this is that the black's not covering hugely well. That's okay, it's because it's kind of going over the metallic. So what we do is we just do 2 coats, nice and thin, to make sure that we don't have anything chunky on there. And then when we come back, we'll highlight the black up. You can also do any kind of little bits of wires you've got hanging down, do them. And also the central part in the chest as well, because we're going to put a bit of a glow on that. So just paint that black as well. Once that black has dried, we're just going to give it a little highlight, and the colour we're going to use for this is Mechanicus Standard Grey. And this is a really simple one. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to just, on these sharp edges, just pull the brush along all the edges like that. You see it gives a really nice, easy highlight. And then when we've got it a little bit more difficult, we can just pop it into some of those gaps. Doesn't matter if we're too messy around those edges, because what we're doing is we're going to be putting a glow effect in there. And what that glow effect will do, the kind of Mechanicus Standard Grey will help enhance the glow effect. So just work your way around all the black, edging it in with the Mechanicus Standard Grey. And then when we come back, we'll be ready to start the base for the glow. So we're going to base up all the parts that are going to be green next, and we use Corax White for this to base everything. So we've got this bit of pipe coming down here, we've got other tubes as well, and you may need to give it a couple of coats just to get a good solid one of the white there. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to pick out these orbs. But as well as the orbs, we want to pick out, I've got too much on my brush there. We want to pick out the kind of areas that go with them, so the kind of inserts as well. Just want to paint around that with the Corax White, and I'm not bothered about how tidy I am with this, because like I said, in the last step, these are going to have a bit of a glow on them. So the messier the better in some respects. And I know that looks really messy there, but I'll show you how that's going to work things out next. So just work your way around all these bits where you need that glow. You've got the eyes as well, so don't forget to do the eyes. And you've also got the chest piece. So with the chest piece, just take your time and just run the brush over the area. Don't flood it, just take your time. And there we are. So get that done, come back, and we'll do the green glow next. Once that's all dry, we can look to add the green glow. Now, it depends. I said earlier you don't need the new paints. I think the Tesseract Glow is pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some Tesseract Glow and we're just going to paint it over all the white we've just done. Now, one thing you can do if you haven't got Tesseract Glow is you can take some Moot green and really thin it down into a bit of a glaze. You see there, that's started to give a nice glowing effect. Like I said, I've not been too tidy about, or too careful rather, about how I put it on the weapon. I'm just letting that kind of white in the gap shade it, and then as that, as it dries, what you'll find is that the kind of green will not be as intense around the edges. So that's that. We want to paint everything we've done white. So we want to do the eyes. When we do the eyes, we just want to do the kind of the bottom part as well to kind of give that glow effect. And we want to paint up this. And I also decided to kind of do the insides of the rib cage as well. So I'm just going to pop that in there and let it dry. You don't have to do this bit. I just thought it'd be nice to get a bit of a green glow going somewhere else. So there we are. Once that dries, it should look quite effective. That's your Necron Warrior pretty much done. If you want, you can kind of dot the orbs with some white scar maybe, just to kind of give them that shininess. And to be honest, this tube coming down here, probably gonna let that dry and then probably just add another coat as well, just to make it a little thicker. So base this Necron to match the rest of your army, and that is this tutorial done. Really easy, really straightforward. So there we have it. This warrior for the Szarekhan Dynasty is done, and he's looking pretty good and in almost no time at all. So you should be able to work your way through all of the Necron Warriors without too much trouble. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like and a comment down below. I really appreciate any feedback you can give. If you want to help support me as a channel, then please check out my Patreon. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified for all my latest videos. You can see all my recommended equipment in the description, and you can also get up to 20% off all your wargaming needs from Goblin Gaming. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.